disciplinary matter has now been dropped against an Oudtshoorn teacher who identified himself as African on his CV. But the issue of race identification is being debated once again among South Africans. The term coloured has become particularly contentious. Patric Tariq Mellet is a heritage activist, also the author of the book The Lie of 1652. He joins us now. Patric, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. This is a very contentious issue. You believe that Glen Snyman did the right thing by saying he was African. Why do you believe that?
Absolutely. The term African itself in the South African context has a history. And the first people to actually call themselves Africans or Afrikaner was a group of people who, in the 1690s, under Oude Ram Afrikaner, who established the Oorlam Afrikaner people. We have a long history over 3 centuries. This is long before white Afrikaners started to call themselves Africans. And in fact, it is long before any other African people in South Africa called themselves Africans. And if you just go back to the first political organizations that were established, the Kimberley Afrikaner League, Kimberley League of Africans, and the African Political Organization started by Matthew Fredericks and Dr. Abdurrahman. This was a time, 1880 and 1902. It was, 20 years before the ANC, which was then the South African Native National Congress, called itself the African National Congress, largely through the influence of the APO. So the history of the term African, and I don't believe it's exclusive to anybody, but the history is amongst the descendants or the forebears who were enslaved and who were Khoi, and it is through their offspring that the term African started to be used. He has every single right in the world to refer to himself as African. In 1900, the first Pan-African conference was held in London. And one of the movers and shakers that started that conference was, in fact, somebody who would be called coloured today, Alice Alexander from Kimberley, who worked together with Henry Sylvester Williams from Trinidad. And at that conference, they established a definition of African. And that was anybody born anywhere in Africa who has at least one forebear indigenous to any part of Africa. And as such, the vast majority of people classified as coloured had every right to call themselves Africans.
It's really interesting history which you're giving us. It's very important. There is a bigger conversation, or another conversation that comes along with it. Some people would say we should not have a racial designation at all. Where do you stand on that? I mean, do we need to have a designation?
I also stand on this. I think the state needs to butt out of identity. Identity is a very personal thing. And we have 3 broad cultural heritages in South Africa. Not races, not color, not ethnicities. We have Africans, we have Afro-Europeans, and we have Afro-Asians. And under each of those tributaries, there are literally hundreds of sub-identities. But that's a very personal thing. A state should not be marshalling people into boxes. That's where we came from. We came from the apartheid era. What's happened is the ANC has taken the old wineskins of apartheid and poured new wine into it. And what happens is the wine goes sour and the wineskins burst. And that's what we're experiencing now. We need to set aside these race, color silos and allow people to express their diversity however they wish through self-identification. It's got nothing to do with the state. And we should be able to celebrate a very diverse range of cultures in South Africa without worrying about forms that has you in a block as X, Y, or Z. So I am for the scrapping of apartheid, as I've always been. Unfortunately, the ANC supports that apartheid framework, and it's actually souring everything that we're trying to do. It's certainly not helping transformation. That I can tell you. If you look at affirmative action, I believe in affirmative action. I'm absolutely behind affirmative action, based on poverty, based on class, not on color and on race. We all know the vast majority of South Africans, 92% of South Africans are people of color, and about 80% of those are poor. So if we focus on poverty transformation, that form of affirmative action will be much more effective than what we've got. What we've got is the same set of cronies lining up at the front of the queue to be affirmed over and over again, simply on the basis of color and ethnicity. We need to break from that. You get affirmed once and you move off. Allow the poor to be affirmed. And the only way you're going to do that is to do away with apartheid and focus on transformation of the lives of the poor in South Africa.
Patric Tariq Mellet, a heritage activist, thank you very much indeed. As I say, it's a contentious issue. A strong view from him on that. I'll be interested in knowing your view on that as well.